So I think, like GenAI is at this stage where we are all, in a way, experimenting what is going to be the potential for our industry. In the last conference, the last special lessons conference, I saw a few use cases that we are thinking in CARTO around it, but one of them has been playing out particularly well, and this is the one that I'm going to be talking about. There's many other use cases for GenAI that we are like thinking about it, but this one in particular, we're pretty interested. So I'm going to go through it, and then we can have a discussion about other use cases of GenAI and how to use it. And definitely, with Action Engine, I would love to hear, because I know you guys are working on something very similar. I'm sure we know the first one. So this is a little bit of like marketing, right? So conversational maps, our AI engine to talk to the map, is our marketing team really, just trying to kind of like make a solution out of this. But essentially, kind of like the way, and we published a blog post together with Google. The way that we think about applying Gen AI in this case is to utilize its power to understand and provide a conversation with the user to facilitate or to help non-technical users, or to help anybody to really use better maps. So we all are here like map geeks, and we all love maps, and we love to understand them and investigate them. But the reality when we talk to a lot of customers is that utilizing some of the data visualizations as maps that we make is not easy for most people. In fact, actually, there's an incredible amount of people that are really bad at reading maps. And then for those who are okay reading maps, understanding like some of the data visualizations we make is a very big challenge. So we should never underestimate, like how hard it is to understand the product that we make, the products that we make. And I think GenAI has the opportunity to facilitate on that by being this assistant that can help you to understand what you're looking at. So that's what we like looking in here. And why is this important? I don't think I have it in here. I'm just going to go then to the example. Why is it important? Because especially, I mean, like, I'm going to put I'm going to blame the public sector because it's probably easier. We all can blame on it. But how many GIS and websites we've seen out there, with maps, with 1 million filters and 1 million possibilities in that application, that you go and you just zoom around a little bit, you just pan around and say, well, beautiful, yeah, about it, and move to the next thing. Reality is like most of the applications and most of the maps that are created are very little use. People just go and they spend very little time interacting with the map, and they only try a few things. So unless they're like incredibly committed to use the tool, the usage that we find in most of those maps is very, very limited. So if we manage to provide ways to simplify that usage so people actually can get the results that they want in a faster way, we'll not only make the maps more accessible, but we will actually make them much more powerful, to much a larger audience. So I think this is something that we have to think about, and this is actually the opportunity. It is probably also a way to think, how we sell this feature to our, like project managers, to our customers, or to whoever, kind of like at the end. I think it's a great opportunity to democratize our work. So for that, I'm going to show you an example that we've done with Clear Channel. So Clear Channel is this out-of-home advertisement company. They have all these billboards on the street, right? So you can go and rent, essentially kind of like billboards for your business and use it. And for that, they have an application that is actually built on CARTO, and that's why we work with them, called Radar View. And what Radar View does, I don't think I do have a special, what's it called? Well, you'll see now then later in the demo. But what Radar View does, essentially, is like it shows you the 70,000 billboards that they have in the United States, and it allows you, by selecting multiple filters, drill down to the billboards that might be interesting for your campaign. And you'll see, like, so if you want to do a campaign about a specific topic, just have to find the places where you're going to have your customers, and that's it, right? Now, the problem, and you will see with it, is like it's a typical college systems, and believe me, as much as I hate it, I mean, like, there's 70,000 possible filters to choose from in this application. Why? Because you can use like incredible kind of like complex, demographics, kind of like segmentations from a marketing perspective. So unless you're like a real marketer expert, using a tool like this is really hard. So, or it's worse. Well, you will actually come here and you will just whatever you understand, and you will miss incredible amount of features that you just didn't know, or you didn't have the patience to go through all of this. So this is a kind of like, and this is an example, but if you looked at a lot of these GIS applications that we built and web maps, and I challenge you to look at the analytics. If you put analytics on it and what are the features that are being used, that most of the users are not scrolling down to all the options that you're offering. So what do we do? And I have here a video, but instead of a video, since we're here, we're just going to do a demo. So it's look like this. Hopefully it will work. Let me open up a little bit here. So this is radar view. It is all fake data and so on, as you can imagine. But so here, there's the idea that you can create a new plan. So a new plan is like a campaign, right? So if this opens up, hopefully I tried just before. Maybe the server just went down. It's one of those development servers that we have for. So it will load. When it loads, you will see essentially on a map all these 70,000 billboards. And here on the left, oh yeah, here it is. Okay, great. Oof. Yeah, so it's 56,000 that I can see here, right? And I can go, I can zoom in, to New York and all these type of things. So the type of a thing you will expect, right? And this is where it gets interesting, right? If I click, like on audience segments, this is what I was explaining to you. It looks okay, but if I go, I don't know, let's go to buying power score, and I'm looking for premium, there happens to be a segment called 1A of type of customers that, well, that's the type of things like, unless you're like really on this industry, you really don't know what you call like doing it here, what you are selecting. Baby products. So there's a segment for purchase baby formula this time, right? 70,000 like this, right? On combinations with things like, like proximity, the type of, like billboard that you want, all that, right? So how do we make this more accessible? So this is actually now where we go with the demo. So here we just open up, like this conversational conversational map component that we've plugged into this application. So it's just like, this was the regular application, and now we have this. And now we can ask the AI. Under the hood, I'll explain you later how it works, but essentially I can say like, I am looking at doing a campaign on eco-friendly diapers, or something like that. So what this is doing now is calling, to the GenAI. It's telling them like, hey, the user. I mean, I'll show you then later on the prompt engineering. It will get much clearer. But yeah, I mean, like it's the user is just having a conversation. So I'm going to zoom in. So you see it in here. Oh, can I? Yeah, like this, right? You see. So if I go here, you see like. It's telling me, okay, I'm targeting campaign scenarios with young families as they're the main consumers of diapers, obviously, and also targeting people interested in environmental issues. It's curious because sometimes I get also things like, high incomes because they're more like, but you see, so this is actually what it has understood of what I'm trying to do. And what you can see that I've done is actually has selected the filters for me. So see, now I have like expect child enters collects next 12 months. I don't know. Expect a buy a used car or light truck. Well, that's an interesting one. So I don't know what it's doing that. But yeah, but essentially it's helping me to essentially kind of get these the filters that I need. And it's helping me to design this thing and select from all this. I can still kind of like select and unselect things. I'm going to continue here. So you now see I only have like 16,000. I'm going to say, let's focus in San Francisco. So see, we've also kind of like connected so that you have actions. So the AI can understand also that I'm trying to do actions on the map. So like in this case, I want to call like just narrow down the filter to an area, like in this case, San Francisco, right? So I can have a conversation. This is what we call it a conversational map. Is I can have a conversation with the application. And technically, actually, what is happening is that every time I'm think about if you know how OpenAI works, they call it ChatGPT. This is a chat where I'm maintaining the state of the application in sync with the context of the AI conversation that I'm having here with the API. So I'm telling them like, okay, these are all my filters. I'm going to ask you for a campaign, and I want you to select filters for me that will be matching what I'm looking for. And you see that I ask it to give it back in a JSON format. So therefore, the application go and syncs the filters and also does the actions that it tells him, to do around it. So to the point that if I actually go now and I removed, like one of these filters, we actually tell under the hood to the conversation, I've changed this filter. And why is this important? Because I need the context of the AI to understand what is actually being visible on the app. So that if I click on a particular place of the map, I can say like, why you are not selecting places here? And it will say like, well, because you're like, I'm selecting this and so on. It can understand what is the status of the app. So that's kind of like the idea of the app. right? So now, how does it work internally? There was a demo, but it's the same. Can I just pass the demo? Yeah. So this is all based on Google. It's using the Palm 2 model from Google, and we're using it through Vertex, which is the AI engine of Google Cloud. And on top of that, we're using BigQuery. So in this case, yeah, this is just the app. It's just I host it on, like this is a diagram by Google, so they put a lot of logos on it. But yeah, essentially the app is just hosted on Google. And when I'm actually submitting on the chat, it's calling an API, a cloud function that is then calling to BigQuery, and through BigQuery you can call Vertex, and from Vertex you call to the model, right? Now there's a little bit of a trick that I'm going to show you there, but essentially after that it comes back, and and then you can we interpret it, we put like CARTO on it, and then we return it back. So this is more or less what it is. Now, the issue, as you know, is like when you are like working with a GenAI like this, is the size of the actual prompt is limited. So like we couldn't really fit the 70,000 options that like we have on the map. So we actually had to create embeddings. So you create like an embedding database of all this so that you make it available to that. So you have to expand a little bit more, the solution. I think I have a few diagrams like that. This is actually a prompt design. Just so sorry, it's just like really, really long, but I think it's essentially, you're an expert in identifying. It's a very weird way of programming, right? So you kind of like just explaining the thing. But yeah, so you essentially say like, hey, you are an expert identifying this, help me out to do these things. And these are the filters that I have. And I want you to output the suggested filters using this JSON structure and even these actions. So if you understand when I say like, let's look at San Francisco, it understands, okay, you want to go to San Francisco, I'm going to put some JSON and action like zooming or panning to a particular place, right? So that way, the AI is controlling the state of the viewport of the map itself too. So filters and actions. And you also want to kind of provide some examples. Some cases it gets, like that. So it's essentially it's like that. You just kind of like explaining to the AI your user interface, and you're telling like, tell me how to manipulate my user interface. And then I just keep it in sync. The other things that, gets complicated or gets a little bit more complicated is like, normally you're not going to be able to fit everything on the prompt, or the prompts will be just very, very big. So that's where you have to do embeddings. In the case of OpenAI, there's an API for it. In the case of Google, there's also like an API included, which is the embeddings API, which is really, really convenient. So essentially that way you can vectorize and create an embeddings API. Well, you can just essentially create your database of embeddings very simply directly from BigQuery. So you can filter all those categories, which obviously we don't have 70,000 hard-coded segments on the UI. They come from a table on BigQuery. So we use that same table to create the embeddings and so on. And that's just essentially what you do at the end of the day. This is how they look like if you haven't never seen an embeddings database. So you're essentially kind of like putting, you see the demographics, life stage groups below average income, and like you just calculate the distance so that like they. So whenever you're like it's trying to find them, it uses that. So then when you call on the prompt, you say like, this is my prompt, and this is my embeddings that you have to use too. So and it's honestly pretty now well thought out. It's pretty simple to develop. So it looks more like this in reality. This is actually the whole thing, right? So array W prompt calls the API calls POM2 via the Vertex API. Now we have a set of, we have 3 embeddings. We have like POIs and brands. We have, because I didn't show you, but I can say I'm only interested on billboards close to Costco stores, and it will actually understand that. And that's because we have a POI and brands embeddings put it into it too. So then it goes to radar view and so on. So this is the whole cycle, as you can see. I think I had a demo too, and I think that's about it. And yeah, and just the lessons learned. I'm trying to go fast so that we can have a conversation around it. So develop GenAI apps is hard in the sense like it's new technology, right? And it's not very deterministic. So and this is probably one of the hardest things, right? That like as developers you have to kind of like. And you have to add a lot of tooling because it's you see, like I was doing this live demo and the response has been very different than the one that I was trying this morning. And tomorrow I'm actually showing this demo on the keynote at the conference, and I'm terrified that, what it will come up. I mean, we have like a big, you can score, as you know, the confidence on, the result, like the temperature, so that is more deterministic. But yeah, it can be quite, so you might be fixing something on your prompt and you're breaking something else. So testing is really not very nice yet. So you have to be strict on to define the schema. I think a lot of these things actually are very quickly. It's incredible how fast well, obviously this industry is going, but things that were a problem at the beginning of the summer, and by the end of the summer they were already fixed. So it's incredible how fast like Google and OpenAI obviously are developing. I don't know what else I have in here. I have index on this. So yeah, that's a little bit on. Like honestly, this kind of like this thing that I had to create my own embeddings on the data that I have on my own data warehouse. To me, it's probably something just of the state of the. In a way, if you look, Google seems to have copied in a way the OpenAI APIs and way of doing things. But if you think about it, Google or any data warehouse are most likely going to enable you things like automatic embeddings of the information that is available on your database. Why do I have to create manually an embedding database of a table that I have already on your data warehouse? It's most likely I will be able to eventually put metadata on my data warehouse, and it will automatically generate embedding APIs for me, and it will probably even understand the data models and generate SQLs for me as well. So there's a lot of stuff that right now you have to develop as a developer, that our expectation is that in 6 months you will not have to do it. So this is one of the things I would recommend, and that we are learning is, don't overkill it, don't overinvest, because a lot of the stuff that you're doing now will actually be solved by Google or by OpenAI. So yeah, yeah, the last one we just said that. Yeah, so that's what I have. So and I know like Action Engine, you guys have been working on this. So I don't know. So this is gonna be different. I'm gonna start making a question.